Danmaku game. Then he was still experimenting, because with Dim Dream we then have another, I suppose, game clone. It plays a lot like
Twinkle Star Sprite.
yeah, it plays like Twinkle Star Sprites. And then he kind of goes back to the Danmaku style and kind of, he starts refining it in Lotus Land and Mystic Square. And Mystic Square is really the prototype for what would become the window game style.
Okay. So this year we're going to be focusing on the third game, Phantasmagoria of Dim Dream. Yeah. So here you have all their different cast members. So like we said, it plays like Twinkle Star Sprite, or since you're here, you obviously know about Toho, more like Phantasmagoria Flower View, which was the other game he released in that style.
So pretty much how this game works is you can play it, first off, it can be played multiplayer, so you can play with a friend. It's not a lonely Toho game. And that's why it's one of my favorites, because you can get all your buddies in on it. And you have a split screen. Both you and your friend are playing at the same time, and you have, for instance, little ghosts or moons that are coming down, which you shoot. And you can, like in Flower View, you can unleash attacks on each other. So let's say, I'm powering up my dodge, and suddenly a rainbow appears on her screen to ruin her day, and she'll do it right back at me. And it's kind of a game that escalates.
Yeah, it's like it starts slow, and then something happens on the other player's team, and then it bounces back worse and worse and worse, and you just go like, what's happening here? What are you doing this to me? I was just happy flying. No.
It's a retaliation game, and it's kind of who can survive the longest against the onslaught. And the reason we're focusing on this game is because we're actually hosting a tournament for it, pretty much right after this panel. And this Toho is really, even though it plays like Flower View, it's still an anomaly in the series. Pretty much the gameplay was a bit of a standout. The characters never really reappear, with the exception, sadly. And it had a really weird plot. It probably has one of my favorite plots of any of the Toho games, because you have the final boss in red right there, Yumemi, coming from the human world. She's just a regular girl, and she finds this wonderful fantasy world, and her first thought is, man, I should kidnap some people like right now for scientific experimentation. And she has a 14-year-old sailor girl as her apprentice. Also, she got kicked out of college because she tried to teach magic as a scientific principle. So she's really nuts, pretty much. So you have this complete psychopath coming to Gensenkyo and holding a tournament to try and kidnap you. And if you play the game as her, okay, spoiler alert here for a super old game, you literally get to take everybody back with you.
Which is amazing.
So it's a very special game. All of the endings make no sense and are totally bizarre and are totally weird. So it's definitely one of the weirdest Toho games there is.
And you also have these other characters.
Hello, you guys.
Okay. Hi. You also have these other characters that are never mentioned ever again, that just suddenly appear to participate in the tournament. You have Kotohime over there in a kimono who wants to be a policewoman. Right next to her there, the one I'm cosplaying, Rikako, is like, I'm great at magic, but I hate it. I want science. And if you actually win with her, what you get is like third year of high school science manual, and she's super happy, which makes me laugh a lot.
The one right beside her, Ellen, is actually pretty interesting. She raises, like, if this game ever were to get re-released, she raises copyright issues because she is straight up taken from a manga. Like, Zune did not give any care back then. He was like, yeah, I'll straight up hijack this character. And there's also another character who appears ending only, who's once again straight out of a manga. So yeah, back in his Dojin days, there was not much heed to, well, Dojin and copyright laws is always a weird discussion to begin with, but he lifted a character. So yeah, you have her in there. But generally it has a very nice quirky cast.
Oh yes. They all have weird motivations. Sometimes you're not sure why they're even there, but
Why is anyone in Toho ever there? Come on now.
they're bored.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's there to beat people up?
That
She-
too.
She still is in this game.
What is
That doesn't change much.
So we're gonna do a little gameplay demonstration. So here you have what the game actually looks like. With a nice Yumemi there winning against some moons over there.
Yeah, we're not sure who just died, but it's not really relevant.
Because Yumemi should always win. Okay, so let's start it up. Yeah. We should have volume. Maybe a bit too much volume. Oh, just set the difficulty at however you like. Shoot. Yes. Oh. Yeah. Goes. The wire.
She's not coming back. Best go to Europe.
Okay, so to note, there are translation patches that were released not that long ago, and I installed them like only a week before this convention, so this is my first time seeing this line here.
Well, Nima is a ghost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she doesn't have legs, but
No, she definitely doesn't.
point it out.
Yeah, it's really insensitive of her.
Yeah, insensitive Kana.
I know in the past, like before there were patches, every single line would just come out as gibberish. So whenever we play against each other and someone would win, we would read it as blah, blah, blah. But now we can actually read the words, which is pretty cool. Actually, it should be mentioned, since this is a big thing, someone has finally patched all 5 PC98 games in English and did it well. And it's actually available now, if you want to go look for that, because before only one game, I believe, was patched and not